You're really late.
Most people think being late is a character flaw, a lack of discipline, a lack of respect, a simple failure to care. But psychology tells a much more complex story. Because for many people, being late is not about ignoring time, it's about experiencing time differently. And once you understand how that works, lateness stops looking like carelessness and starts looking like a cognitive pattern. People who are always late usually want to be on time. They plan to be on time. They tell themselves, "I'll leave in 10 minutes." They believe it, genuinely. And yet, 10 minutes quietly becomes 20, then 30. Then suddenly they're rushing out the door again, not because they don't care, but because their mind was never fully tracking time in the first place. Psychologists call this time blindness. It's not that time doesn't matter to these people, it's that time doesn't register the same way. Their brain prioritizes tasks, thoughts, and internal momentum over external clocks. When they're engaged in something, even something small, their awareness narrows. Minutes don't pass, they disappear. This is why people who are frequently late are often deeply focused individuals. They don't drift, they sink. Once their mind locks onto an activity, shifting away from it feels jarring, almost painful. Leaving on time doesn't feel like a neutral action. It feels like being interrupted mid-thought. Another overlooked factor is optimism bias. People who are always late tend to overestimate how quickly things will go. They assume traffic will be light. They assume transitions will be smooth. They assume nothing unexpected will happen. Not because they're naive, but because their mind prefers the best-case scenario. Reality, of course, rarely agrees. There's also an emotional layer most people miss. For some, being late isn't about time at all. It's about emotional readiness. Arriving somewhere means entering a social state, a role, a mode of interaction, and not everyone can switch modes instantly. Being late can unconsciously become a buffer, a way to mentally prepare before stepping into expectations. Ironically, many people who are late feel more guilt than those who judge them. They replay the moment they should have left. They feel embarrassment walking in late. They apologize, sometimes excessively. Inside, they're not relaxed. They're frustrated with themselves. Another counterintuitive truth. Some people are late because they hate waiting. Arriving early means standing awkwardly, sitting alone, watching minutes crawl. For them, being early feels worse than being late. So they aim for just on time and miss it. Every time. There's also a personality dimension. People who are highly creative, intuitive, or abstract thinkers often struggle with rigid time structures. Their mind moves in waves, not grids. Deadlines feel artificial, schedules feel constraining. This doesn't mean they're irresponsible, it means their strengths and struggles come from the same place. But here's an important distinction. Understanding the psychology of lateness is not the same as excusing it. Insight isn't permission. People who are always late still live in a shared world. And other people's time matters. The goal of understanding is not justification, it's self-awareness. When late individuals become aware of their patterns, something shifts. They stop relying on intention alone. They stop trusting optimism, they build buffers. External reminders, hard cutoffs. They learn to respect time, not because they suddenly feel it, but because they design around not feeling it. And interestingly, when they do this, they often outperform others. Because the same mind that loses track of time can sustain deep focus, long-term thinking, and creative problem-solving. Once managed correctly, it becomes an asset. But society rarely sees that side. Instead, late people are labeled unreliable, disorganized, unmotivated. And that judgment can quietly erode confidence. Over time, some stop trying to be on time at all, not because they don't care, but because they feel they'll fail anyway. If you recognize yourself in this, there's something important to remember. You are not broken. Your brain just wasn't built for clocks. It was built for immersion. And immersion is powerful, when guided. If you're someone who gets frustrated by people who are always late, there's another perspective worth holding. What looks like disrespect is often miscalculation. What looks like indifference is often cognitive overload. Understanding doesn't mean tolerating everything, but it does change how we respond. Some of the most thoughtful, intelligent, and deeply engaged people struggle with time, not because they live shallowly, but because they live inwardly, and inward time runs differently. If this video resonated with you, whether you're someone who's always late or someone trying to understand them, consider subscribing to The Inner Observer. This channel explores the quiet psychological patterns that shape behavior beneath the surface. Not to judge, not to label, but to understand. Because once you understand the mind, you stop reacting and start seeing. Sometimes being late isn't about time. It's about how deeply a person lives inside it.